Tonight on Ground Crew Command Radio, barring any technical difficulties. Let's see how we go. We got special form of support for Starseeds that you won't find anywhere else, folks, to get us through these times on a way higher note, way more comfortably than the intense experience been felt by pretty much all. And we're going to get a read on the planetary pulse. What's really going on? Physical and non-physical. What to expect and way more, especially with Pluto going in retrograde May 4th and how that will affect you and how to best handle that. We know what Pluto can be like, and it'll be retrograde for 5 months. A rather interesting and profoundly uplifting experiment for Starseeds, as always, here at 144K with the 5 archway, arguably I would even say new phenomena in not just shadow work, but helping Starseeds get through these times and really take control of, well, just their emotions alone, never mind the usual physical symptoms that these very intense cosmic winds that have been coming through, purifying everything. There's a lot to discuss there. And plant medicine, why it's not worth it. I'm not going to be telling you what to do. And lots more, folks. We got Liz Ingate with us from Starseed Circles. She's going to be throwing in her support and contributing as well. A very special guest there tonight. And more. Lots of great stuff for you, especially if you're a Starseed, aka light worker. This is your alarming servant, the unknown light warrior. It's going to be a huge show. Special guest, Liz Ingate, founder of Starseed Circles. And I had to get her on because she provides far more personal, hands-on support for Starseeds, as in actual live conversations, which I certainly can't do, but you can, twice a month. Let's just get straight into it. Liz, thank you for coming on, and you've been someone who's been heavily involved in planetary liberation, I guess, but also shadow work and support for Starseeds, which is a big part of what 144K Starseed Group is all about. And let's get into what you've been offering and providing, and now incorporating it with the 144K support as an extra support. Tell us about the Starseed Circles, how that came about for you.
Yeah. Hi, Jim. Hi, Ada. Hi, 144. It's really great to be here. Thank you for inviting me on. So I've been with the 144K for 5 years. So I don't know if that makes me a veteran just yet. So I've been in the trenches with you all. And I wanted to put on Starseed Circles because, you have wonderful, powerful spiritual healing tools, Jim, which, have saved me on many occasions. And the other thing that's really helped me get through being a Starseed and being active in the liberation is support groups. Now, I haven't been able to share my Starseed stuff because most people think we're crazy. But I've been able to share all the ups and downs and the emotions. And having been in support groups for I think 9 years now. It was the first time I didn't feel alone, and I started to put my life back together. And I've been listening to Starseeds and reading comments on the Cobra blog and online other places. And so many Starseeds are struggling, really hitting the wall, especially those who are really active. And
Yeah.
it breaks my heart when, so many Starseeds saying they're not sure they're going to make out the year, and I've been that starseed, and I sometimes still am that starseed. And having my support network has just been massive. And I know not everyone has that. And I've wanted to do this for, at least 4 years, actually. And it's taken this time for me to, really get it going and the energies feel right and that I could really support this. So, it's going to be 2 circles a week. You get to come and share how you're feeling, share your worries, your concerns, your dreams, your visions. It's going to be that place where, you no longer feel crazy. So, this is really dear to my heart. And I'm so thrilled to be able to do it in collaboration with the 144.
Yeah. So again, folks, this is about, well, I guess you could say the infamy of aloneness and isolation of that often, but not always, comes with being a starseed, aka light worker. And that's got to be resolved. The tools are great, the radio shows are great, alt media helps starseeds to a degree. But when it comes to talking about what you're all about, what you're passionate about, typically is the ghost town, no one around. 3D family is not there with you. And we're setting this up, thanks to Liz, to make sure you can get with others. Supporting tools are great, robust energy healing tools that anyone can do. Okay, you don't have to be a psychic or much of a visualizer to do. That's important. Those are already there, as you already pretty all but spelt out for people, Liz. It really got you moving forward in a big way, just from the 4-phase healing and clearing system, which was and still is one of our flagship products and very, very affordable. But this is not a commercial for that. I just want to say that great healing tools are critical, makes all the difference. But for many, if not at least half of all star seeds, it's still not necessarily enough, only because of the 3D emotional and psychological need for most starseeds to be able to be with other starseeds, and be themselves with other starseeds live, online, in a way that they simply can't with their own family and in many cases friends. Okay, and so this seriously, what Liz is providing here, folks, really sort of not just complements, I would even say completes the loving support, care, and uplift for starseeds to see this through, see it all the way to the so-called end, what we refer to as the event, and just seamlessly breeze through these intense times. So, I've recognized the proper shadow work tools, energy clearing tools that actually do the job, that are easy to use for anyone, and getting together live with groups of starseeds. And I know, Liz, you've got a lot of many years of experience, as you said in your bio, of being with groups, and sharing and facilitating and knowing how to listen and all that kind of important skill set. Liz has that, folks. Again, it's all about providing everything a starseed needs, a holistic and more complete all bases covered pretty much. Support for Starseeds, because let's face it, it's been brutal for the longest time, but especially since February or March, let alone eclipse season, it just stepped up tenfold, and we've all felt it. And this was one of our inspirations and motivations to provide even more support, to greatly expand our loving support to Starseeds, that holistic, complete form of support. Go ahead, Liz. What do you want to add to that? And you can unmute now.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I've always felt, we have amazing spiritual tools from you. And yeah, just going back to you said about how impactful the phases were for me. So I did the 4 phases on repeat. And when I did that, in that year, I went from, no joke, went from homeless to having a fixed address, went from no income at all to a steady income. And I managed to close up a really difficult initiation. So it was incredible. And so, as you said, to marry together the spiritual tools which you've got, which are so robust, and then to provide the emotional support. I know we sometimes joke, Jim, about, you're the Arcturian with the really thick skin. And my God, we need that. And we need you in that position of leadership. And then there's the feminine, softer, holding, let's share our feelings, let's identify with each other. We haven't been able to share with many people. So I feel like it's the perfect marriage, and it feels like the perfect time. And I'm really excited. And I'm just really thrilled to meet everyone who comes along. It's going to be great.
Fantastic and well put, because, we both realised, especially eclipse season, it's made us realise that, okay, the, like you said, robust, arguably life-stabilising, and in many cases, life-changing, if not most cases, life-changing audio healing tools the 144K provides for its membership. Great, critical, foundational, but thank God you've arrived on the scene to provide that other 50% of the picture that many people also need, okay, which is literal get-togethers, with, again, the 3D family, God bless them. We love them as much as we love our galactic family and heritage. But let's face it, let's be honest, we can't truly be ourselves with our 3D families. We're often already isolated as it is. And it makes sense to provide a service, thank God to Liz, to provide a service that provides and closes that gap or provides that need as well, which, again, provides that holistic care to Starseeds via the 144K. Thanks to Liz stepping in and saying, hey, we better provide this as well. And so where can people go, Liz, because I think it's via the 144K Patreon. Let me just check the notes here because, for those of you who join 144K, let me see, Patreon at $10 a month, okay, you get access to these Starseed Circles facilitated with love and care and a real personal touch by Liz Ingate for the first 3 months for free. Okay. You get the first 3 months of the Starseed Circles facilitated by Liz Ingate for free if you join 144K Patreon at $10 and up, and that is at patreon.com /C/. 144K. So the numbers 144, the letter K, HQ, letters HQ. So that's both the desktop and mobile version. It's patreon.com/C/ the numbers 144KHQ. And the link for that is in the description box below if you're listening to this either live or the recording. And Liz, it's important to move on to the next topic, okay, because you have an awareness. I wouldn't say experience, but awareness about the ins and outs, and let's just say potential pitfalls. I'm going to leave it at that. Of plant medicine. Let's just quickly get into that because that's a very big topic. Understandably, starseeds have a natural need and inclination, if not intense desire in some cases, to escape the matrix. Okay, which is really simply escaping and going beyond our five senses. That's basically it. And hey, we can all understand that. We can all have compassion for that. The problem is like with other forms of escape, whether it's, I don't know, I would even say alt media, whether it's food, sugar, marijuana, and we can go on, right? Alcohol, etc. It becomes another form of escape and not as an empowering tool. And that makes it disempowering. Because there's not much. First of all, you don't truly utilizing, it doesn't really teach you how to fully use the power of your mind and consciousness and knowing how to use the mind to heal and clear and liberate yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. That the aforementioned tools do, and specifically designed for that. It doesn't necessarily do that unless you go through some serious training. And secondly, it does overwhelm DNA. One preeminent DNA expert says it pokes holes in DNA, and which has a respective sort of chain reaction on your auric membrane. Holes there as well. Darkness gets in as a result. Whenever there's a puncture of any kind, either in your aura and or DNA, and that causes other problems. And I remember one guy saying, yeah, I did do plant medicine for a while. This is via email last year. And he did say, but nothing seemed to come of it. Now, the reason for that is because, not just because you really have to know what to do when you're quote unquote on any kind of plant medicine, which is hard when you're on plant medicine. But really, you're going into realms, non-physical realms, where there's, let's just say, opposing forces presence there as well, to put it euphemistically. And that's why a wonderful, amazing man, the late Harry Charger, former Lakota chief, he literally said that ayahuasca, as an example, is a liar and a thief. And, he passed away in 2015, that well into his, I don't know if he was late 70s or whatever it was, highly esteemed, amongst his community, obviously being a chief of the Lakota tribe in South Dakota. And that's what he said. Okay. And I had to take that seriously. Now that I've set the stage, Liz, what's your awareness about both the good and the bad of doing plant medicine. And just before you get into that, I just want to make clear that we're not telling you what to do and not to do, or that you're in some way wrong or did wrong in some way by having done it in the past. Not the message. Okay, and we'll get into that later. So go ahead, Liz. What's your important?
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
So I put my hands up. I've not taken it. I've had friends who have done plant medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can contribute is how the dark side work, which I know, Jim, you've talked about this. I don't disagree with anything you said either. So, and what I do have a lot of experience of is all the best things in this world, everything that's most sacred, and all the best practices. And so, the best of Tantra, the best of plant medicine. Whenever enough people are interested in that, the awareness has grown so much that, oh, we want that. We want, as Jim said, the escape from the matrix. The dark forces, they see that and they're like, we need to head that off. So again, they don't create anything of their own. They wait till us, good and loving people want something better, create it or bring it back in, and then they head it off. And it's a bit like you have a wonderful experience to start with. So, your plant medicine shaman or mystic, and the people doing this, most of them would have no idea. And what the dark forces do best, they're best at being evil. They're best at being just so twisted. And it's difficult to get our minds around how something so pure and wonderful can become so led off track. And I like to think of it as you've got a train and you change the track by a millimeter, and 10 miles down the track, you're going to be heading in a completely different direction. I had this experience with a spiritual practice, and it was so good, and it was bringing in such high goddess energies. It was miraculous, and it was especially for women. It was especially for the feminine. So, but of course, the dark couldn't allow that. So again, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I think honing our intuition when we go for the light that we are, and these practices, which are probably so dear to us through endless lifetimes, our intuition, it's a bit like it's an SAS style intensity that we have to work on our intuition to go, okay, how could the dark have twisted this or taken off a different track? So I think that's what I could put in here is just always trust yourself. And if you can go direct, then always go direct. Everything is inside of you. I know we say that endlessly, but it really is. I mean, yeah, and plant medicine as well. If there's a plant you're drawn to, have that conversation direct. So, and especially at this time, the corruption is intense and mind baffling. And the more we can share these stories about how things get twisted, the less it's going to happen. And the more we can keep Starseeds on track and in their missions. So that's what I'd like to add, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that, again, your intuition told you, and this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And obviously, you went the way of, at some point, of the 144K tools, which, as you said before, started getting you back on track in just in the 3D and stabilizing your 3D life, and therefore stabilizing your emotions.
Yeah, it really did. And it really did. And one of the reasons I was so drawn to Jim was, Jim, you have this wonderful understanding of just how twisted the dark can get. And now that's kind of my calling card of, okay, yeah, this is probably going to be something I can trust. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I somehow successfully expressed that, my awareness to you in the 144K of how, let alone the fact that darkness plays games. It's really great at playing games. And you gotta be streetwise savvy about that. You gotta have experience about that. how we can undermine your perceptions, your thinking, agitate and amplify desires. And yeah, it's, you know, you don't have to know all of that. You just have to associate yourself with someone or a group that does know that, you know, and they'll look after you. You know, it doesn't have to be me in the 144K or, you know, whoever that's very, very streetwise and savvy about darkness. And the situation there has improved greatly, ironically, because of the cosmic winds, among other things, and the continuous shutdown of, well, all sorts of things. More recently, AI systems, them being shut down, AI networks throughout the planet, especially these past few months, there's been a lot of success there. Very exciting there. And I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, that's the deal, isn't it, Liz? You know, if you're kind of new to all this, then stick with or associate yourself or get support, you know, receive support for someone who does know this stuff, and you'll get looked after. And before I let you finish this segment, Liz, I just want to say, in general, as it relates to plant medicine, you know, I did mention that it pokes holes in your DNA, making it more, I don't know, porous, and therefore more open to manipulation of your mind and body, apart from which, again, cascades into all sorts of problems. But the main thing I want to say is I would prioritize learning to work with energy. Okay, even if you think you've been at this for 5, 10, 30 years, believe me, there's often something better that comes around the corner. And many veteran 144K members who've been at this for 30, 40 years, tried everything, then they discover the 144K products and wow. Okay. So even if you've been at this for a long time, always be open to something new, different, or better when it comes to working with energy. And everyone else, learn to work with energy. It doesn't really take that much at all. It just takes the right resource or two. Learn to work with energy first, using the existing power of your own mind. And then, and this is a big maybe, worry about plant medicine if you even need it at that point. Because the right energy healing shadow work tools that are simple to use, specifically made for non-psychics, you know, people that have trouble visualizing, etc., such as the 4 phases, that typically 90% of the time, or for 90% of people, completely removes the need for any plant medicine. Because people feel different. Their lives start to improve, and that's how they know at the 5 sensory level, this stuff is real, this stuff works, no need for plant medicine. I feel more confident, I feel stronger, things are shifting. Yes, it wasn't easy, took a month or two, but yeah, I can tell there's a serious shift, and I'm going to keep on doing this and sticking with XYZ Starseed group, whoever that is. You know, not just big noting us. That's not the message. Go ahead, Liz. What's your, I suppose, finishing or closing words?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, and my goodness, I don't want to preach to a load of experienced starseeds, but what I just want to add is, if you had a really transformational experience with a shaman or a mystic or anybody, and it turns out that was corrupted, it's really important to retrieve what was genuine, because it is always built around something very deeply genuine and precious to you, and that's why it's so hooky. So retrieve all the good stuff. Don't throw it all out, because the other thing the dark side loves is to give you a transformation. And then if you do realize it was corrupted, you then flip the other way and want nothing to do with it ever again, or you don't want anything to do with transformations again. You don't want to trust anyone ever again. So the key is to retrieve the genuine, and that's your work. That's the really, sifting out the chaff from the wheat in a very deeply spiritual sense. So and just keep your good heart no matter what the experience has been, and then you will be a gold mine of information of how to turn lead into gold. Sorry, I'm using all these cliches, of how to really work through dark experiences and come out having retrieved the gold, which is what we're all here to do, and safeguard yourself and come back to the light. And then you can really help other starseeds to navigate and not even go anywhere near the dark side in the first place. So,
Yeah. Again, folks, with plant medicine and whatever places you travel to, I can more than understand the fascination. Rest assured, darkness is there and it plays games there as well. And yeah, not the solution. I'll just leave it at that. Some people, I can understand, because I know one guy personally. He's seriously stuck in his left hemisphere brain, and in a big way, low self-esteem, etc. And so he used plant medicine years ago now to be able to convince himself that the greater realities, the non-physical realities, is real. But most of you don't need that convincing. Okay? Yeah, not worth it. Again, I don't mean to tell people what to do, what not to do. And so, folks, get that extra support that sort of provides you the complete package here at patreon.com/C/144K HQ at the $10 a month level, and you get 3 months worth of personal care, attention, and wonderful company and togetherness with Liz and the existing group of comrades and kindred spirits, because she's already got this going. It's already established. And you get that for the first 3 months for free. And, Liz, we've been wanting to collaborate and do these sorts of collaborations, but in a, simplified, structured way for some time. And I'm really happy. 4 5s there. I'm really happy that we've got the ball rolling in spite of the tech glitches with, getting off of Blog Talk Radio because they've closed and moving on to live streams. And, again, apologies for the teething problems there, folks. But, I'm really happy about this because, like we said, even the most robust, life-changing, guided audio shadow work tools, for many, is still not enough. They need togetherness. They need to be able to get together with kindred spirits that understand them, share the same values, and talk, So, Liz, I'm glad you're providing this. I do hope and plan to integrate in some permanent fixture kind of a way, which we'll work it out in the near future as we adjust to new platforms. The Starseed Circles, and let's make it happen. So again, folks, patreon.com/C/144K HQ at the $10 a month, and you go there now. And $10 a month, and you'll get the emails offering you the first 3 months with Liz, regular basis, getting together, like true friends and comrades that can support each other as well. There's like, I'm sure you've experienced this, Liz, where there's a synergy that is
Oh my
created.
goodness. Yeah, I guess the starseeds know so deeply. Miracles start happening when we come together,
Yeah,
and yeah, and the magic of really hearing each other and just having that moment to just offload, and or even just the power that comes out of sharing our stories. So like, you know, Jim, you and I and Ada were talking and just talking about the last 4 years and what the energies have been, and that
yeah,
was so helpful to me just to go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, and so there's so just imagine that tenfold when we've got 20, 30 star seeds together. It's very
yeah,
exciting. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm sure there are, I don't know, policies, for lack of a better term, or housekeeping rules. You know, how there's,
Yeah, I have a Virgo moon. I know I'm I like being organized and I like my rules. Sorry everybody.
yeah,
So
it's like, your social media group where there's certain simple policies and housekeeping rules. And that's fair enough. You need some sort of structure. You can't, you know, be open and sharing, but not necessarily negative per se, and not, you know, taking up all the time and everyone's time and straightforward stuff like that, which, Liz knows what she's doing, folks. So again, head on to the Patreon. And normally, to really sort of get anywhere, traditionally, to join the 144K Patreon, you have to join the 144K group itself, which is ostensibly a mass meditation group, but it's so much more than that. You'll want to do that as well, folks. Normally, we provide, that only one doorway entrance, and then you're offered the Patreon. But we're sort of doing that in reverse today because of how important this is. So, yeah, that link is also in the info box to join the 144K to receive these notifications, receive mass meditation emails, planetary updates, and notifications of this kind of support that is augmenting and completing an already powerful support system for Starseeds. So, Liz, thank you for coming on. Okay, it was wonderful having you on. We'll likely have you on again soon.
thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ada. Thank you, 144, for showing up and listening today, and really look forward to seeing you in the group. And thank you.
Yeah, and we're gonna take it from there as a permanent sort of support fixture, if I can use that term. Not finding the right term right now. So, folks,
You want to be stuck with me, Jim?
I beg your pardon.
I mean, you mean you want to be stuck with me?
I want you to be there through these Starseed Circles for 144K members.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay.
it's going to be such a joy for me that people get the support they need in the way I've had the support I need. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Jim.
Because just to be clear, folks, she's got quite a background in support groups. Okay. Getting together virtually or physically in groups in a room and running things really well. A lot of experience there. She knows the steps, she knows how to handle things. She's not just anyone. You know what I mean? She's, let's just say, better qualified than the average starseed to hold and facilitate these starseed circles, support circles. So thank you, Liz. And as always, we'll stay in touch.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for coming on. So, folks, the cosmic winds, we sort of need to get into that. And I did read out and introduce Alexander Quinn in the last week's episode for good reason. He's a great resource. He gets pretty scientific about things. And he said, yep, the cosmic winds, they're continuing. They'll continue. In his latest video, he basically explained how the heliopause, around the, edge of the solar system, and the heliopause being the sun's outer magnetic winds and magnetic field, where it begins to meet the cosmic winds, galactic cosmic winds that are coming into the solar system, and they meet together where they kind of collide, I guess, where a kind of solar bubble is created. That's the heliopause. And you said the sun's heliopause is going to get weaker and weaker. Earth's magnetic field, as most of you know, is getting weaker and weaker, which is allowing cosmic, not just CMEs, it's even more than that, galactic, cosmic, radiation, photonic light, ionized charged particles. You really got scientific. That is coming in and therefore reaching the Earth as a result of the sun's heliopause getting weaker and weaker, and altering the deepest level DNA encoding in the right direction. This is part of our evolution, and natural divine DNA evolution. And the proverbial old rule still applies, though. That's the thing, which is you can't take your baggage with you. And he says this is causing, well, he calls it subconscious flooding. I just call it unresolved internal blocks or shadow. And again, to state the obvious in my mind, he also mentions Pluto going retrograde starting from tomorrow, as of this live broadcast, tomorrow being May 4th, 2025. Pluto, when it goes in retrograde, that means internal stuff. And it's going in retrograde for 5 months up until October. And rest assured, folks, I know it's been rough, and some of you, this might be the last thing you want to hear, but it's actually a non-issue. It really is. Because once you get whether it's bi-weekly, every other day, every second day, or weekly if you've got a 9-to-5 job, whatever the case may be, once you get a daily or weekly system of healing and clearing internally down pat with the right tool, it really does not only become a non-issue, but it becomes quite literally uplifting. And I'm talking from experience, because I haven't been immune to these cosmic winds at all. And you do go more stronger. The energy's clear. You stabilize. You grow. Confidence goes up. And again, if you don't consider yourself much of an energy worker, good news is that's what the 144K guided audio tools are designed for. So keep that in mind. So that's why I'm going to be holding, and this is free. Well, in one way, it's not free, but will be provided to, let's just say as a test, if you will, to 144K Patreon members at all levels. I'm going to provide them a special form of a live group healing and clearing session using the new 5 archways method, which covers more bases, but is still simple to do and use. Now, with this, the reason why I'm calling it an experiment is because this time you just have to show up, and I and the teams do it for you. You just have to be present. Sitting upright on your chair, that's it. Okay? And I'm starting off with, a small group to get results, get feedback with 144K Patreon members. It'll be held soon, within the next, I don't know, couple of weeks or so. And if it works, which I'm suspecting it will, but I have to be conservative about this, again, you just show up. It's a 40-minute process, maybe. It's very pioneering, cutting edge, robust shadow work that I do the work, you just be there, receive. For 144K Patreon members. And this will be at a minimum, and this is proven too, because I've held a version of the 5 Archwise live webinar about 3 weeks ago, actually 5 weeks ago now. This is cutting edge, leading edge, pioneering shadow work stuff where you don't have to do any work, just show up. Okay. And if it works the way I'm suspecting it works, and then, in other words, major results, major robust turnaround in how you feel, frequency, time, personal timeline, etc., and rising above it all to confidence, ease, and grace. Once I get confirmation on that, I may even be doing this either once a month or even weekly. Okay. This is to get the ball rolling, just to make sure people get, the vast majority get the results that they will likely get. Again, I can't make guarantees, obviously, sensibly, until it's actually done and you do actually get the results. Again, major, and this will allow you to, another option of how you can just seamlessly breeze through the next 5 months of Pluto retrograde and amping up cosmic wins and upgrades that just pushes up any unconscious baggage up, causing either physical symptoms or volatile negative emotions. And here's the thing, folks. I've been doing this on the one-on-ones. I opened up 10 spots. For those of you who don't know, I opened up 10 spots over the past week or so. Almost all of them, admittedly, I've been experimenting doing the 5 archways on them. And typically, if it works for an individual, it tends to work almost all the time at a collective level, because we all think and assume that our own private internal stuff is unique to us. It's actually not. It's actually quite universal. That's the thing, especially when profoundly powerful non-physicals are involved. So what we assume or think is private and personal and unique to us is actually universal. Actually, believe it or not, I learned this around, what do we got now? 15 years ago from a copywriting advertiser, when he had a profound aha moment about writing adverts to appeal to people. So originally this came from a 3D source. Then I discovered from another energy worker, he started doing simple commands with groups, and he found that they worked at a universal level. So this is well worth running with and see how far it takes us all, how much it raises us all. Pretty damn, trivial risk here, very trivial risk when by joining 144K Patreon at any level for this particular live group clearing using the breakthrough 5 archways, and see how you go. That's a pretty damn great deal. So again, we need to know how to deal with these intense energies so that horrible and resulting, from these cosmic winds pushing up all our stuff in deep internal unconscious shadow stuff, so that these cosmic winds and Pluto retrograde are not such a struggle. It doesn't have to be. And I'm experimenting very hard, diligently, every second day at most, with the 5 archways method of shadow work, the 5 archways of shadow work, since the beginning of April, when the post-eclipse energies and cosmic winds really amped up in a big way that I know bit at least half of us. I know that for sure. Again, another reason why I opened up one-on-ones, just to make sure people who really did need help directly got it. And folks, that's something you can get excited about and look forward to. So before, again, this is why I've been using the 5 archways very heavily on myself, not just one-on-ones, passed with flying colours. Right? Because rest assured, I've had my childhood stuff come up as well, because my mum was in a bad place when she was pregnant with me and nurturing me. And I inherited a lot of that in my DNA, in my emotional body. Again, Alexander Quinn says it's important to be able to clear imprints into your emotional body. He specifically said that and gave the heads up about Pluto going in retrograde for the next 5 months. And you do not at all have to struggle through this physically or emotionally. Okay. The right help is here. That's the thing. And now you have, if you become a 144K Patreon member, you got Liz Ingate's Starseed Circles, where you could talk about things as well. Of course, I love receiving emails of feedback. I follow feedback very closely. I'm very clinical about what shadow work tools and activation tools work the best. And I keep on tweaking and developing and evolving the tools. Now you begin to understand why Liz Ingate was really going on about the 4 phases, for example, which is specific coded commands. It's not so much heavily dependent on visualizing, which is part of the reason why it's so popular. We just haven't been promoting it for years even, because of the, trying to hold the line, planetarily speaking, and focusing more on the mass meditations themselves to continuously upgrade the planetary timelines and keep the ship steady. Great stuff for you to look forward to. Again, you'll want to, upon joining the 144K on Patreon, you'll definitely want to join the 144K Starseed group itself on the main newsletter. Again, the link for that is in the description box, but I'll just quickly mention it. It's the numbers 144, the letter K, armyoflight.org. You'll definitely want to go there and join the main notification list and newsletter. That's where notifications for Ground Crew Command goes to, not so much, Patreon. Patreon is more of a adjunct, to the main newsletter. But anyway, the Patreon, where you're going to get the 5 archways of shadow work, which is leading edge, cutting edge shadow work stuff, but essentially done for you because I do the work. You just show up. Yes, it's experimental, but let's just say conceptually it has worked in the past with, one particular guy who has his own group, I remember years ago. Anyway, done for you, you just show up. So, and once you join the 144K Starseed group, you go through a short little survey, you end up on the members page, which is a navy blue colored members site, and you'll see at the top 144K Patreon. Just click on that. That's another way to access the 144K Patreon. So let me move on here, because I know some of you at least want to get into some of the more 3D alt media stuff that some of the alt media goes on about. And the reason why I don't put much emphasis on that at all, as I used to in years ago back on Blog Talk Radio, is because everything that you see in the physical 3D, politics, domestic, geopolitics, etc., ETs, all that kind of stuff, all of that is very highly controlled, highly orchestrated stuff by the Alliance now, by the Earth Alliance, aka Positive Military or White Hats. Very controlled, very orchestrated. And yeah, the news is getting good and positive and interesting, whether it's RFK announcing that the NHS, whatever the hell, was completely complicit in child trafficking and exposing it, whether, they're saying that, the medical procedure is the leading cause of autism and all sorts of disclosures. That's just going to continue. And again, all orchestrated, very controlled by the good guys. And it's for the unconscious majority to gradually hold them by their hand and raise their consciousness, become them aware of what's really been going on at a speed that they can handle without destabilizing the unconscious majority mental and emotional state. And that's all that's about. That's why you don't hear me go on about the, 3D physical plane stuff. Some of the Cobra stuff, sure. We got that galactic event with the Emerald Beam of Light that's going to occur on May 13th. We're going to send out details about that to prepare us all for that. That's a big deal. That's significant. Full moon, 144K mass meditation coming right up at about that time. According to one astrologer, the crazy intensities of eclipse season ends at about May 14th, which is about a day or two after the full moon and this emerald beam of light thing that Cobra mentions. So there's going to be a bit of a bump, let's just say, intense, rough times in that, roughly 73-day period between about the 11th of May to around the 14th of May. So heads up on that. Until then, if you're listening as an outsider on any social media platform, and you are a Starseed or light worker, or suspect you're a Starseed light worker, joining the 144K Starseed group is definitely your next step. And then join the Patreon from there, because it's all about proper, holistic and robust support for you. Ultimately, that's what we're all about. Even though, ostensibly, we're a global meditation group that really clears blocks within Gaia to raise the timelines and accelerating, but also stabilizing the path to full unconditional planetary liberation, which is the underlying thing that we're all about. But that's sort of, again, for all you 144K veterans, you know that that's a given. You just know or realize that you just need to get there a lot more easily, a lot more seamlessly and gracefully. And I'm making that happen for you. Working hard to make that happen for you. Hence the old tagline, your loving servant, the unknown warrior. So go to, again, if you're not a 144K member and you're listening to this somewhere, wherever on social media, you definitely want to go click on the link in the info box below. In other words, 144karmyoflight.org. You definitely want to join that and know what's really going on with the planet. Things are continuously getting shut down. Every new moon and full moon, the 144K does this 1 hour plus mass meditations, which is more like psychic surgery, which clears way more than just your traditional 20-minute sitting in silence thing. And, moving on. I can talk about how they're now deliberately deconstructing and destabilizing China internally and domestically. But honestly, I find that kind of boring because that's part of the plan, part of the orchestrated, highly controlled process of planetary liberation to free the people of China, for example. That's just info you can find anywhere in alt media. Just know, nothing unique about that. Just know it's highly orchestrated by the good guys. Okay? That's why I don't bother. There's other things that you'll get way more benefit from and positive impact on your life and your current state on. And that is the kind of stuff that Liz and I have been talking about. So it's really important to have that perspective. The 3D, even exotic geopolitical stuff, yeah. Tons of alt media outlets for that you can listen to in the background while you're washing dishes or cleaning the car, whatever. That's already been provided in spades. What you're getting here at 144K Ground Crew Command, you're not really getting anywhere else in terms of real support that makes the real difference. So watch your inbox. If you're a veteran, if you're not, join the 144K below and watch your inbox. Great stuff coming your way. You've been listening to The Unknown Light Warrior, closing out this episode of Ground Crew Command Radio. Talk to you soon, beloved ones.